Okay, modelers, so this time around with this video we're going to be talking about the variety of different kits you can buy. I'm going to start off with the ones I'd recommend if you're just getting into modelling. Probably the easier kits, but they're still nice kits when they go together. And then I'll work my way up sort of through the different types of kits, what you can expect from those kits. I'll go through everything, sci-fi, cars, things like that. So this video is probably going to take a little while, but hopefully you'll get something out of it. It doesn't matter what level model you are. I'm going to go through multimedia kits, more advanced stuff, your add-ons like your big ad sets and stuff like that. But like I say, we'll start from the very basics, and where I would probably recommend, and it's not saying you have to do this, but I'd probably recommend you start with some more basic kits. Like the best I can recommend on the market would be Tamiya kits like these guys here. Now this little kit here is very, very basic, okay, but it builds up to be a beautiful little model. And I'll just quickly show you inside the box. Now the reason these are good to start with is because that's all that's in there. You've got 2 sprues of plastic there. Now the good thing about these is, to me, the fit is beautiful. Everything goes together the way it should. Everything will go together without you having to do much filing and sanding and stuff like that, the more advanced things. And the detail that's on here, you don't have to actually add it on. The detail is actually moulded into the parts, so it saves you a lot of like little tiny photo etch parts and little fine plastic things and stuff like that. So these are a great little place to start. This is in the 48 range, the Tamiya 48 range. These are a bit newer tooled and stuff like that, but great little place to start. And even more advanced modelers, I mean, I don't call myself super advanced or anything, but even I love building these things because just the way they go together and the finished product, fantastic. So I definitely recommend to start with things like that. Now that's a bit of an unusual subject, the little dozer, but you know, you can get it in armour kits like this guy here. I have built this one, beautiful model again. Everything fits perfect, and it's a great subject, something a lot of people into. Now they've got a good range of these 48 kits, and they're all pretty much the same. This one here's got a metal base in it, so it's got a bit of weight to it. But yeah, fantastic. And the more advanced modelers can do things like texture up the metal and all that sort of stuff, and so that, you know, there's options there to do all that sort of thing, and there's enough detail there to make this look really pretty. It's the same with their aircraft, like this guy here. Again, I have built this kit, beautiful kit, goes together beautiful, and it's not super complex. If you look inside here, it's just a few sprues of plastic. Okay, so it's not too complicated to put together. If you're into aircraft, they're the way to go. Now it's not to say that Airfix are the only ones, Tamiya are the only ones. Airfix is starting to bring out some nice stuff as well. I've built a smaller version of this, which is the Jackal. Beautiful little kits, and they go together well, and they're a great little subject, like something completely different, and it leaves it open to some beautiful weathering and that. And you can get photo etch sets for these as well if you want to build them up a little bit more. But again, great little kits if you're starting off. They're fantastic. The other one is over here. I'll just quickly show you. You can get these little 70-second scale kits from Dragon. Now a lot of these are great little kits too. Some probably a little bit iffy fit wise, but they're not too bad. There's nothing you can't work around. This one here is fairly basic. Just quickly open him up. So again, it's just a few sheets of plastic, probably a bit more than what you'd get in a Tamiya kit, but a lot of detail moulded in. Okay, but just be careful with these little 70-second scale Dragon kits, because you can get some like this one here, the T34. Now this one's got the old bed springs and that. Now they're made out of photo etch, and there is quite a bit of work involved in folding them up. They're very, very tiny, very delicate. So there's a bit of work in there, and that's a bit more advanced. If you haven't got the tools to do it, it's probably going to be a bit tricky doing that. But because of the price you can pick these up for, they're a great place to start mucking around with photo etch. Even though it's really fine, it'll give you something to play with, and you haven't sort of blown, you know, if you buy a $100 Dragon kit with all this photo etch and then you mess it all up, you've wasted a lot of money. These are like 20 bucks, and you know, if you stuff the photo etch, you don't have to use it, and you haven't thrown all that money away. So just be aware though that you know, look at the kit you're buying, check online to see what's in there. If there's a lot of photo etch and you're not going to get into that yet, just, you know, go elsewhere. Like I say, you can buy these little fellas. They're very easy. It's all plastic, and they still build up to a really nice kit. So they're probably the basics. There's another comparison. I'll just pull it over. I've got it off to the side here. I'll Just move a few of these out of the road. Okay, now we have, this is another Tamiya kit. This one is a little bit older, but goes together really nicely. Fairly basic, but beautiful kit. It's got all the detail on that moulded in again. Fairly easy to put together and a great little kit. Now, I'm going to do a comparison between that and I know this is a different vehicle and all that sort of thing, but it's a good comparison because it's a similar sort of subject. Now, this one here is from Italy. Again, you get a field gun, then you've got your truck. But this one here has got fit issues. Okay, you put the chassis together, you put it down, one wheel sticking up in the air, things like that. There's a bit more advanced, a bit more complex, a few finer little parts, and yeah, the main thing though is the fit issues that it has. So probably a more advanced thing, like when you've done a little bit of modelling, like you've got through a few kits and you're used to doing a bit of sanding and filing and remoulding plastic and stuff. You can probably start working your way up to these types of kits. Great thing about Italy and kits like this is you can get some unique subjects that you don't get in Tamiya. Okay, so just be aware though of the difference between that and say something like this Tamiya kit. That's a bit of an older kit, beautiful kit, goes together well. This one here, again, a unique subject, but a few fit issues. So just be aware of what you're buying. Again, guys, the internet's a great place to do research on these sorts of things. Now we'll go into some kits that have some real fit issues and some real issues, but because you're starting off, you might go to say a swap meet and you'll see something like this, for $5 or $10 and think, oh, bargain. Okay, I'll show you inside the box. This one's got a fair bit of dust on it. It's been sitting around for a while. Got the instructions out, and that is all that's in there, guys. Okay, it's very, very basic, and there's no interior at all. So you've got a kit that doesn't go together well. It's very basic. You probably have to add a few details yourself. There's no interior, and then you've got all this glass, so you'll be able to see inside, and there's nothing in it. So you're going to do a bit of scratch building as well. So just be aware when you pick up bargains like this of what you're actually getting. Again, use the internet, do a bit of research so you know a little bit about the kits before you buy them. You pick these up for bargains. If you don't mind putting in the time and the effort to build them up to something decent, by all means, go right ahead. Okay. Another one that you have to be aware of is things like this here, these older Airfix kits. Okay. Now this is a fantastic subject. I absolutely adore this aircraft. Fantastic to think they ever flew these things. But now again, when you open this box up, it's like that last one. There's very little detail in it. It has got some fit issues, and then you've got all this rigging. Okay, just remember with World War I aircraft and things like that, biplanes, that there's rigging involved. That is a whole subject on its own, doing rigging. You can pull your hair out trying to do, like if you look at the amount of rigging that's on this thing, it's just incredible. It's one of the reasons I love the aircraft, but it's one of the reasons when you're starting out to try and avoid kits like this. It's not to say that you can't have a go, and it's a good place to practice. You can pick these up fairly cheap and all that sort of thing, but just be aware of all the issues you're going to have when you do it. Okay, so they're just a couple of things to watch out for. Next we have, when you start to get into the hobby a little bit more, you have things like your academy kits, like our Priest here. Okay, now the Priest is it's really not a bad kit at all. Academy bring out a huge range of kits, but they're a bit hit and miss. Some are very ordinary to put together, have some bad fit issues. Others are superb. Now this thing here is not too bad. I put it together. A couple little issues with it, but it's not too bad. Okay, so these are a good starter kit as well if you want to, start to learn a few techniques of making things fit and stuff like that. Really good stuff. Now to dress that up a little bit, you can buy these add-ons like this here. Now this here is a stowage set, and it's all resin parts. Okay, I'll just quickly open it up, and as you can see, you just got a bag full of resin parts. Now the thing with resin, if you haven't used resin has to be cut off blocks. It comes on moulding blocks. You have to cut it off, file off the bit that's left on there. There's a lot of work in doing it, taking the seams off, things like that. So there's a bit of work in it, and also you have to wear a mask. This stuff here, you don't want to be breathing the dust in when you start sanding it. So Again, you can start off with basic stuff. You can buy add-on kits, and this will give you a little bit of practice with some more complicated stuff. That one there's only got resin in it. Some of these add-on kits will have wire and photo etch and resin, all sorts of stuff in that box. Okay, so just be aware of what you're buying when you're buying these boxes. If it's just a stowage set like that, you know it's pretty much just going to be resin. Okay, so that's another good place when you're just starting out. You can then also get, just forgive me guys, I'm just shuffling stuff around in the background to pull stuff out. To show you. Okay, a new player in the market, well, fairly new, is the Hobby Boss, these guys here. Again, can be a bit hit and miss. Some of their stuff's a little bit, the fit issues and stuff like that, but you're getting a lot more in the box for these. There's a little bit of photo etch in there for grills and things like that, and superb, they're just beautiful mouldings, as in the detail and everything that's in these Hobby Boss kits. Fantastic. But again, do your research on the net. If you're looking at a certain subject, do your research on the net, because you can buy this one here. There's different makers that make the same tank, the Super Pershing, from, you know, Tamiya, different things like that. Do your research on the particular subject you want to build, and just look at the fit issues that go with it. But I highly recommend these. Fantastic kits, and like I say, they're a bit of a new player in the market, but yeah, definitely good stuff. And then you can go up to, these are getting into your more complex kits when you get into these Dragon kits. Okay, now some of these are what they call premium kits, which have a heap of photo etch and stuff like that. Now when you open these boxes, if this one is open, well, it's actually open, I think. Yep. Okay, you open these boxes and straight away you see aluminium barrel, bits of photo etch, nice little glass caps, individual track links, so you're building your tracks one link at a time, and just a box full of plastic. Okay, so you can see you're going to get a lot more modelling time putting this thing together. And if you love the hobby, that's one of the things that I love about the hobby, is actually putting the thing together. Seating starting to come together in front of your eyes, and little bits like this, fantastic. I love doing the detail. But again, just be aware, there's photo etch in here. Now a lot of these kits you don't have to use the photo etch, maybe the grills you will, but a lot of them, the little like tight end handles and stuff like that, are already moulded on there. If you want to use the photo etch, you can sand off the moulded parts, put the photo etch on there. So it's not like you have to use them. But you know, things that I love about these, and look at these little U-bolts here, you know, just fantastic. You just don't, you know, they're going to look so real when they're done. You wouldn't even have to paint those, they're already made out of metal. Fantastic stuff. So, and this one here comes with Zimmerit as well, which is the coating the Germans put on their World War II armour to stop magnetic mines sticking to them and stuff like that. So these are getting up to your more advanced kits in your armour. Okay, and it's the same with aircraft. You can get the more advanced aircraft with a lot more detail, like especially inside your cockpits and stuff like that. But again, do your research on the net, guys. I can't stress that enough. Always look on the net, have a look around, look for the subjects you really want to do, look at what kit makers make that, what's in the kits. Okay, but yeah, I love these kits. These are the sort of things I build now. Just love it because of the you know, the amount of work that's in it. I love seeing it come together slowly, bit by bit. Beautiful stuff. And we also have, when you're getting up more advanced, things like this. This is from Special Hobby. Now these are what we call multimedia kits. Now inside here we've got a mix of plastic, we've got a mix of resin, we've got some photo etch, we've got some little steel wires and things like that. They come with all different types of stuff in there, and you've got to know how to use each one of those to put these together. Now the thing about these kits is that they build some unique aircraft. Okay, it's the only place you'll find, though I think they do a 72nd scale of this as well. You're just not going to get that in other kit manufacturers. These guys do some really unique stuff. They're not the only ones around that do that. There's quite a few, but some of them are plastic kits, and they're really nasty. Okay, and you've got to put heaps of work in them to do them up. Again, look on the net, and you'll find the ones I'm talking about. But if you want to do really unique subjects, that's the only way to go. That's the only option you've got. Every now and then one of the main manufacturers will do one of these special subjects, but not a lot of them. But just be aware when you're buying kits like this what you're going to get inside there. This one here doesn't even actually have glass. You've got to find some plastic to put in for the windows. So yeah, not a bad kit, but yeah, just be aware of the work that's involved in doing something like that. Okay, so next up we're going to talk about our car kits, and I'll just reach over here and grab them, guys. Just give me a second. There for now. Okay, so car kits we have. Probably the basic car kits that you'll probably buy the most of are things like Revell, AMT, stuff like that, these types of kits here. Now, car modelling is a whole thing on its own. Car modelling is different to doing armour and stuff like that because you're looking at high gloss finishes a lot of the time. Doing interiors in cars different to doing an interior in a tank or an aircraft. So it's a whole hobby on its own. There's lots of guys on the net here that do cars, so look at their videos. But just be aware when you buy these types of kits, they're very, very basic, okay, and they do have fit issues. And there is work involved in getting them to look really nice and pretty, okay. But like I say, look on the net here, look on YouTube especially. There's some great car modelers on here, and getting a high gloss finish is a whole different ball game to doing like a tank or an aircraft. Getting a shiny finish on a car is a whole different subject on its own. Just be aware, very basic kits, okay. You also have like Academy here, they do some. This is not a bad little kit, it's okay, it's still got a few little fit issues with it. There's quite a bit of work in getting them to look nice because all your chrome parts will have seams that you've got to sand off, and then when you sand it off you're back to bare plastic with still chrome on it, so it's going to look terrible. You've got to re-chrome parts and things like that. So, I mean, you can put it together without taking the seams off if you want to, but I mean, you know, that's your choice. But there's a little bit of work in doing kits like this too. But again, a nice unique subject. You can get it from other manufacturers, but yeah, just be aware of what you're getting, guys, okay? So that's probably much where you'll start with your vehicles. You can work your way up to things like this guy here. So when you're starting in your racing cars and that, Tamiya make a few car kits. They do a lot of Ferraris and things like that. These are really nice kits. This is a bit of an older one, but just be aware you're going to have a lot of exposed mechanical stuff on these types of things, which means then you're starting getting to metal finishes, okay? And a lot of decal work, high gloss finish to get your decals to settle down, stuff like that. But really, really nice kits, guys. Fit-wise, beautiful, okay? So I can recommend them for that, but just be aware of the work that's going to be in this when you do these kits. But if you're into cars, definitely work your way up to do things like this. Beautiful stuff. Now this is starting to get up into probably the top of the range stuff is like your Tamiya. Now this thing here, I haven't built this one yet, but I've seen a friend done one, and it is just superb. The amount of detail in there is just incredible. Everything just fits together beautiful. Beautiful subject, and it's just well worthwhile. But be prepared to take the time to get your paint finished, because the big thing with cars like this, if you ruin the paintwork, the whole car's ruined, okay? It's all about getting your paintwork right. But as far as putting this together, absolutely superb, beautiful kit. Highly recommend you the Tamiya stuff. And while we're on vehicles, I know this is not a car, it's a motorbike. But honestly, if you haven't built a Tamiya motorbike, do yourself a favour and go and grab one. These things are absolutely sensational. This thing here is just a beautiful looking machine. This is the Monster Yamaha. Fantastic. Then when you put one of these together, there's so many bits of detail in here, and you can see all the different colours in the engine work and stuff like that. All the cables will be in there, all that sort of thing you have to run. Lots and lots of detail, and you would think, oh, this is going to be a nightmare. You can see the detail down here on the front. You'd think this is going to be a nightmare. Nothing's going to fit properly. It's just not going to be good. But this thing will just about fall together itself. They're just absolutely fantastic. If you haven't built a Tamiya motorbike, do yourself a favour. Grab one of these newer motorbike kits and have a go, because they are just superb, okay? But again, your paint finish is an important thing on these. You haven't got as much plastic to cover, so it's a little bit easier. But yeah, do yourself a favour if you're into motorbikes and cars and stuff like that. And if you haven't built a Tamiya motorbike kit, you've got to do it. Fantastic stuff. Okay, so that's it for about the automotive stuff. Now next we'll get into some sci-fi stuff for you guys. Okay, we've got a bit of a pile here I'll put off to the side. Now you start off with things like this, the Dark Knight Bat Pod. Okay, now this is from what is it, Mobius Models, this one, and I've already had a look at this one to start doing. Now I've got a peg there holding the part together because there was a big seam thing that had to be filled. There's another part, there it is there. I had to put a heap of putty in that to fill in the seams, there's big gaps in it. So while you look at a model like that and you think, oh wow, I've got to build one of those, just be aware of what you're going to get in this box. They're very basic, really poor fit, and there's a lot of work to get it, you know, looking as beautiful as it can. But yeah, fantastic machine, something really different. But yeah, that's what you're getting for your money with something like that. Now, when you get into your Star Wars kits, like these old Easy kits and things like that, and this one's been knocked around quite a bit. I picked it up only a couple of weeks ago, actually. But you can get these for a fairly reasonable price still on the internet. There's some newer manufacturers, but I'll talk about them in a minute. Now, these things here, again, beautiful subjects, unique, and they do go together with a few problems, like you do have to spend a bit of time, you know, puttying up gaps and filling in and stuff like that. But these things are sensational. You can get them, you know, work them up so they look new, or you can weather them. There's just so much you can do with these kits, and I definitely recommend them. They're fairly cheap. You can get them, pick them up fairly cheap, and they're a good place to like practice all those skills. But you do have to put a bit of work in it to bring out the detail in them. So that's another option you've got in Sci-fi. Another option when you start getting up over the background, you can't see it, but I've got the Tamiya Space Shuttle, so you can get realistic space stuff as well. That is a beautiful kit. It's getting a bit long in the tooth now, and you do have to add a bit of detail. Fantastic kit though, being Tamiya and stuff like that, so you can go that route as well. And the other one, this guy here, Fine Molds, have got out a few. They do Millennium Falcon, they do your X-Wings, your Y-Wings, your B-Wings, all that sort of thing, and they are fantastic kits. You open this up, it doesn't look like there's a lot in there, but the moulding on these is fantastic. Now, Bandai have picked up this license now, and they're doing these, and they're just as good, if not better. Okay, fantastic stuff, and they do all the figures and that as well. So you can find these around for a decent price. I think Hobby Link Japan still has quite a few. Definitely worth the money, guys. Beautiful stuff. Okay, and one of the nastiest ones I've probably had to go at is our Anakin Pod Racer. Okay, now, if you want to build this is probably the only route you can go. This is, you know, they're the only ones who've made this. Hopefully some others will pick it up in the future, but this is nasty. Okay, it's got huge gaps and things like that. You've got to fill and sand. You've got to put a lot of detail on there because the detail is very plain and iffy. You've got to add your own detail and stuff like that. But if you're into Star Wars and sci-fi stuff, this is the only option you got, and you can make these look absolutely beautiful. I've seen some of these that are just staggeringly beautiful, like your speeder bikes and stuff like that. Absolutely fantastic stuff. Anyway, guys, that's about it for Sci-Fi, except for probably the top of the range you can get in Sci-Fi stuff if you're into Gundam stuff, robots, whatever, is these guys here, these kits from Bandai. Absolutely fantastic. These things here, they're pretty much clipped together and they go together beautifully. They're actually posable. You can move them around when they're built. You build the inner skeleton first and put the armour out over the outside, and like I say, you can pose them. You can buy lights to put in them, all that sort of thing. Absolutely beautiful. If you haven't built one of these, do yourself a favour, grab one and build it, because they are just fantastic. And you can put them together without painting them. They actually come colour-coded. Now this box is just full of plastic. Now when I build one of these, I do paint them. Now the great thing about these sort of subjects is you can do whatever you want. You know, your imagination's the limit. I built one of these, turned it into a giant Nazi robot in 1/100 scale, with some German armour driving beside it in a diorama. So you can do anything you want with these. You don't have to build them exactly, you know, from this universe or whatever, but you know, fantastic stuff, guys. The weapons that come with these, again, they're clear plastic. You can light them up and stuff like that. You know, your imagination's the limit. It's just incredible. Jump on the net and look at some of the work people do on these things. Absolutely staggering. So I love doing these as well. I don't get a lot of time to do them now because I'm trying to do a lot of armour builds for people at the moment. So, you know, time's a bit of an issue for me, but if I could just build anything at the moment, I'll probably just build another one of these at this stage, but I'll get there, I guess. But anyway, guys, like I say, you haven't built one, do yourself a favour, grab one and have a go at it. Now, the last thing I want to talk to you about is, I'm just dragging off my shelf over here, over in the background, is when you start to super detail stuff, okay? Now, you start off buy the A10 Thunderbolt 2. Okay, awesome aircraft. This is a 48 scale little airy one. It's probably not the best kit in the world, but it's somewhere to start. Okay, now I've also got a resin set, engine set, and that goes with this as well. And I've got the Big Ed set. Now Big Ed is a heap of photo etch. It does. This one's got exterior, interior, and weapon pods and things like that. These aren't cheap, but the amount of detail that comes in these things is just staggering. Even though the A10's not on the back there, you can see, you know, what these are. They're just absolutely beautiful stuff. A lot of work though, a lot of work. You've got to put time aside to do that. Now also I bought with this is the ammunition loader for the big Gatling cannon it's got. If you can see on there, there's a heap of white metal in there for the landing gear, and then there's just sheets and sheets of photo etch, and that's just to build the ammunition loading thing. And just see a little bit on the instructions there, that's how complex it gets, and there's pages and pages of that, guys. It's just, yeah, it's just super detailed. Now when you get into things like this, you're talking quite a bit of money, and you're talking lots of time. So don't allow yourself a week to build one of these, or allow yourself months. You're talking months to get something that detailed and put it together and have it come out the way you want. But if you're going to invest some money in this type of thing, doing super detailing, be prepared to spend some money on some decent tools like soldering irons and things like that, and also be prepared to put the time in to do it properly. The last thing you want to do is, if you pay 80 bucks for a, you know, an ammo loader, get halfway through it and you're frustrated, nothing's fitting, there's super glue globs all over it, you get cranky with it, and you just throw it to the background because you've bent things the wrong way and whatever, and you'll never finish it. I know I used to do that in the early days when I done photo etch, and I just wasted a lot of things, and it's too expensive to waste. Okay, so learn a bit about photo etch before you start trying to get into this sort of detail, and then when you do, set yourself time to do these. Don't expect this to come together in a week. Okay, you're talking months to put something like this together, but when it's finished, the detail and stuff like this is absolutely beautiful. Okay, definitely worth putting the time in. If you're into this hobby and you love it, and I love this subject, it's probably one of my favourite aircraft, if not my favourite. I want to put the time into it, so you've got to have the time to do it. Okay, but you can get super excessive with your details, like I have with this one here. This will end up being like, you know, $500 or more with all the sets that I've got with it. But that's buying the paints and the extra decals and all that. So that's how detailed you can get. You can do that with armour. You can do that with anything you like. There's so many extra sets out there. You can get really basic Edward sets, which are just seatbelt buckles and things like that, and then right up to the Big Ed sets, which do everything. And then you can get flight path stuff as well. So anyway, guys, I think that's about it for now, about as far as kits go. But the internet's your friend as far as, you know, looking at your subjects and what you want to build. There's so many different subjects out there. There's so many different manufacturers. There's heaps of different ones I have not mentioned, like Panda and Amusing Hobby, and you know, it just goes on and on. There's just so many manufacturers out there now, and they all do some nice work, and they all do some crappy work as well. Hasegawa is probably another one. They do some really fantastic stuff, and do some stuff that's fairly ordinary as well. Okay, so anyway, guys, that's it for this video. If you want to ask me any questions about manufacturers or kits or anything, leave in the comments below. I'll definitely try and answer them, but I don't know about every kit that's ever been sold. I'm not that much a fanatic on kit collecting or whatever, but hopefully this has helped you out, like your basics up to what you can do with the more advanced stuff. Like I say, guys, if you like the video, please click below and put any comments below that you want, and yeah, definitely I'll see you in the next video, and thank you very much for watching.